Welcome to this presentation where I will have the pleasure to introduce you my book, Improvise and Succeed. It's a book that actually is going to underline the importance, the power of coaching and improvisation skills for your career and for your life in general. So let's kick off. Let's start. Maybe you know me already, or maybe it's the first time you see me. Hello, I'm Katiuscia Baggio, and I want to give you just some key information about myself. I live in Asolo, in the northeast of the Veneto region in Italy, not so far from Venice. I'm passionate about coaching, personal growth, and adult learning. Basically, I'm dedicating almost my entire life to these fields, actually, because it's not just a job, it's also a hobby, it's also something that gives me energy every single day. What is that I like to do in my free time? In my free time, I love to stay in nature. I practice hiking mainly in Monte Grappa and in the Dolomites area. If you didn't have a chance to experience yet these beautiful areas in Italy, you might start to conceive the idea actually to do it, because I can guarantee you, if you like nature, it's an amazing environment. I did not prepare, a slide where I'm sharing with you all the titles I have, all the studies I did. You might find these on my website, katiusciabaggio.com. You might already know this if you know me. But anyhow, just in summary, I have a degree in educational science and adult learning, a master in business administration from the University of Kansas. And then I decided actually to become a coach because CIMBA, a consortium of American universities where I've been working for almost 20 years, gave me this amazing opportunity. I studied a lot, people learning, so to say. I started with kids in high school, and then in the university, I started to focus on adults. And then because of the master in business, I had a chance to study also how people learn when they are in working environment. So as I said before, for almost 20 years, I've been working for CIMBA, Business and Leadership School, consortium of American universities located here in Italy, not so far from Asolo. Then in 2019, I decided to quit my job and start my own entrepreneurial adventure. So I decided to keep going in, working in the coaching and training fields. This is what I love to do. And I decided also to build my online academy where I combine in-person training with online and virtual support. So this is pretty much what I did. I gave you this introduction about myself, but I don't want to be in this situation the only one talking or sharing. So please now go ahead and do pretty much what I did. But because in this format, you're not allowed to speak, but you're allowed to share in chat, please follow the instruction I'm going to give you now. So you're going to tell us something about yourself, right? So start with I am, and you're going to share your name, I live in, and I love. What is that you particularly love to do in your life? Please go ahead and share this information in chat. Okay, so I gave you a little bit of introduction from my side. I asked you pretty much to do the same. Now it's also the time to focus on your why. Why are you here? You might say, look, Kathy, of course I'm here because I want to hear about your book, right? But I'm sure there is something a little bit more deep actually behind that. What is that you would like to get out of this session? What was that sparkling call that actually made you to decide to be here today, right? I'm sure you are a busy professional. You could do so many other things instead of being here listening to me. So why are you here? Take a few seconds, even a minute if you need, and write down your why. Feel free to share it in chat if you want. All right, let's start to talk about my book, Improvise and Succeed. Improvise and Succeed is available on Amazon, in Italian, in English, in Italian with the title Improvvisare per vincere. So let's jump immediately about what is the content of this book. In this book, I decided to combine my personal story and professional experience as a leadership trainer, executive coach, integrated in a self-help book. Self-help book because it gives you some steps you can use to help yourself. Based on what? Leadership development, coaching, and improvisation skills for managers. The intent of the book is, of course, not just to share my story, but mainly to help you. To help you to do what? To manage uncertainty and ambiguity, building collaborative relationships, and in general, have more joy, have more energy, have more fulfillment in your daily routine. We know that, especially in this phase, actually, being able to accept uncertainty and manage ambiguity in your personal life and professional life as well is a very important leadership skills, right? It's not like years ago where we were used to think about what we could do in 2-3 years, maybe even 4 or 5. Now, typically speaking, a strategy in a company is going to focus on 2 years at the maximum, so to say, because every day there are new events, new scenarios that are going to take place that is going to make everything a little bit more difficult, right, to plan. And sometimes we have also the challenge that the people we manage, they are asking us for certainty. They want to get information. They want to know what is the strategy of the company, what is the vision of the team. And we don't always have this information, right? So when we learn how to manage all of this and give some kind of certainty to our people as well, we really make a difference. Building collaborative relationships. This is a tremendous important skill from a 360-degree standpoint. So it's not important just in your job, it's important also in your personal life as well. The more you go ahead in your career, the more this ability actually building collaborative relationships and helping people around you to do the same, it's going to be that quid that is going to make a difference in your ability to advance. In my experience as an executive coach, I saw so many brilliant managers with an amazing know-how and experience getting stuck at a certain point in their level of advancement because they were not able so far to do this. They were not so great in building collaborative relationships. Having more fulfillment in your life, of course, is something that everybody would like to have, right? But what is really fulfillment? It's not like happiness. It's not like being, content every single moment, every single second of your life. It's about having that kind of sparkling call that is helping you in the morning to leave your bed and to start your day, okay? Which is not going to be there 100% every day, of course. The level of energy is never going to be 100% of the time. But because you are more clear about what's important for you in your everyday life, you are going to help yourself to give your best to yourself and to people around you every single day, even if you're not able to do it 100%. So I gave you the what. Let's focus now on the how. How is this book, Improvise and Succeed, going to help you? Basically, I created a framework of 8 steps. 8 steps that are going to help you, generally speaking, to build a new mindset, to practice coaching and improvisation skills, reflect on your practice, reflect on your actions, and learn from your experience. This framework is valid for individual people that want to start, their own personal path of growth, and for teams as well. For teams as well, because with 8 steps, you can really help your people in your team to build a new culture in somehow that is based on collaboration and being able actually to behave in such a way that you give your best and inspire other people to do the same as well. Build a new mindset. What's the meaning of this? It's not changing dramatically who you are, right? But it's start to apply those kind of tips, those kind of techniques, so to say, that help you to manage your energy every day and to really focus on what's important for you, mainly on your vision, your goals, and your plans, instead of focusing on what's not working, on the problem, and on all the drama associated with that. Practice coaching and improvisation skills. This is the core of the book, of course. I will explain soon that I was really surprised when I noticed how many commonalities that there are actually between what we do in coaching and what are the rules that the people on stage without a script follow when they need to improvise. So the more you use these skills in your job, the more you're able to give your best and to inspire those around you to do the same. The book is very focused on giving you suggestions on actions to practice, exercises to take, because I really want to maximize the probability that you're not just going to read a book, but you're going to apply all the contents or some of the contents as well. And then I'll ask you some coaching questions at the end of each chapter that will allow you to reflect on your experience. All right, let's see now what is the structure of each chapter. So I typically start each chapter with, giving you some leadership development and personal growth concepts in a very succinct way. So I'm not going to talk a lot about research and data and approaches, but I give you the knowledge you need to understand what is the context I'm going to explain. Then I talk about specific coaching and improvisation skills I want you to start to use. I explain how it's going to help you based on my personal and professional experience. At the end of each chapter, you have the summary of the key points, exercises, and the actions I suggest you to put in place to start to practice actually the coaching and improv skills. And then, as I said before, self-coaching questions to reflect on your experience and to learn from it. So you learn from the book, you learn from what I share with you in the book, you're going to practice, and you're going to learn from your experience. I love to say that this is more than a book, based on all the feedback I'm receiving from people as well. It's more than a book because it's a coaching journey. You're going to read, you're going to learn, you're going to apply, and you're going to reflect on your learning. This typically is the framework we use in coaching as well, with the difference that when we do a coaching session, we don't teach, all right? We ask questions, we summarize, we paraphrase, so the major learning is coming from the person. In this case, you have also the plus to have a theory approach. Of course, it's not like having an external coach, right? But in somehow, by reading this book, you are starting a coaching journey that helps you to build more self-confidence, again, dealing with uncertainty and ambiguity. And also, you're going to have tools to build positive and functional relationships with yourself, first of all, and with people around you in your personal and professional life. Are you excited about what I just shared? Hopefully you are, and I'm sure you started to be a little bit. Let's focus now on why I decided to talk about improvisation and coaching in this book. You might be thinking, look, Kathy, I understand you talk about coaching in this book because that's what you do, right? But why improvisation? That we call it also improv. Very often when we say the word improvisation, we are going to think about something bad, right? Because it looks like we are going to act extemporaneously. We didn't take the time to prepare. We didn't care that much about what we were doing. We were not really serious, right? So improvisation often has a negative connotation. In this book, I'm going to talk about the improvisation that actors use in theater when they go on stage, they need to perform, and they don't have a script, all right? So they are building the scene moment by moment based on the other actors saying, based on what's happening actually in the here and in the now. And this is pretty much the same we do when we coach people. As a coach, in a coaching session, you don't have a script. You don't have an agenda. The agenda is the one that the coach is going to put in place. Of course, you have a context, right? You're coaching the person because you want to help him or her to develop some certain skills, all right? But it's a co-creation process. And it's exactly what actors on stage do when they improvise. How did I get in touch with this improvisation world? Well, in 2009, I was in the US for job reasons. Okay, since I'm quite close to Chicago, I would like to extend, my staying here and spend some time in this beautiful city that I visited in the past, but I felt the need to go back. But I said, I don't want to be a tourist all the time here. I want to do something that, gives me the opportunity to learn something new and then have some free time to visit the city as well. So I literally jumped on the web and I started to make some research. And the name of the second city school popped up out of the blue. Didn't know what was this. I just read that it was an improvisation school. I said, this sounds interesting, right? Let's dig a little bit deeper here. So I read all the information about the courses and I noticed that they were offering a program that were going to take you busy half a day and then for all the rest of the day I was free. And I said, this is perfect for me, right? This is exactly what I'm looking for. So I enrolled, I started my course, and immediately I was astonished. Why? I was astonished because, as I said before, I noticed how many commonalities there are actually between coaching, what I was already doing as a job, and theatrical improvisation. At the point where the teacher here, the trainer and the Second City School, after one day, he saw me, he said, look, you are very good in this. You are very quick in learning everything I'm sharing. What's that about? And I was laughing inside myself because I was thinking, this is what I do every day in my job as a coach. Okay. What you are teaching me is new and somehow because the context is new, right? Theatrical improvisation. But the skills are exactly the same I got trained to use when I coach people. So what are some commonalities that are in place here? Active listening, connecting with others, building win-win relationships, be present in the here, in the now, just to name a few. These steps, these key skills actually are essential when you coach people and are essential when you improvise as well. But let's see more in details. What are really the commonalities between the world of coaching and the world of improvisation? Deep listening is key. You agree on this, right? How many times did you hear, active listening is an enormous important skill. You need to learn how to listen to people, etc., etc. It's about co-creation because, as I said before, when you start a conversation with a person in improvisation and in coaching as well, you don't have an agenda. You co-create the agenda with the person step by step. Mistakes are part of the process. I love it because sometimes still now I'm having a hard time to allow myself to make mistakes. So this principle, these rules help me a lot. It's okay to make mistakes. It very often is not the end of the world also. And guess what? If you don't make mistakes, you don't learn, all right? You don't experiment. You don't innovate. Of course, there are mistakes and mistakes. I'm not talking about stupid mistakes, right? I'm talking about things that you can do, you can experiment, and if it's going to be, the outcome is going to be a little bit wrong, it's not the end of the world. I don't know for you, but for me, it's still hard sometimes to do that. Even if rationally I know that if, I don't do it right, nothing really bad happening, there is a side of me that is holding me back from taking actions because of this uncertainty. Work with what is available. Again, when you enter on stage and you improvise and when you are in a coaching session, you work with what the person just said. You don't think about what the person said 2 minutes ago, but you really focus on the moment, okay? Collaboration is key. It's all about building a win-win relationship, a win-win solution. So it's not about pointing the finger, being right, showing that the other one is wrong, okay? The process makes a difference. Why? Because even if we believe that improvisation is just, something that is popping up out of the blue, and also in coaching, you need to follow a certain kind of process. The process is not rigid, meaning that if you make some mistakes here and there, it's not the end of the world. But for sure, there are certain things that you're not allowed to do. Okay. Fun is a precious ingredient. If you don't have at least a little bit of fun in what you are doing, that means that you're not really in flow, you're not really present, you're not really honoring what is the process of improvisation and coaching. Why this framework? Why did I build a framework of 8 steps where I combine some coaching skills with the most important improv rules? Because in both cases, actually, we help people to do what? In both cases, I mean in improv and in coaching as well. This framework helps to reduce uncertainty. We know that because of all the study and research in the neuroscience field, the brain needs clarity. The brain needs certainty. Everything that is not known is giving us a sense of, oh my gosh, there might be a risk, okay, here. So this framework helps you to reduce uncertainty. The goal is also on the other side to embrace uncertainty and ambiguity, because it's true that we don't like what we don't know that much, but at the same time, we also need novelty and challenges. Otherwise, we get bored, our level of energy is not the same, okay? So it's an interesting aspect, this, because the brain loves novelty and changes. At the same time, it's also stuff that is going to refuse in somehow. So this framework helps you to reduce uncertainty and embrace uncertainty at the same time. It's also teaching you, it's also helping you to accept that you cannot expect to have certainty and control all the times. Easy to say, but not to do it, right? Of course, when we feel we don't have control over situations, we don't feel so good. Or it might happen, I don't know you, but in my case, I don't need to have control in all the situations, but in certain specific situations, I felt the need to have it. In others, I don't care. For example, I notice I'm more entertaining, I'm more good in public speaking when I don't follow a script. If I have a script, I can be entertaining as well, but I feel a little bit more rigid, so to say. On the other hand, if I need to teach, all right, I need to explain a concept, I need to be really well prepared, okay? So ask yourself, in which situation do I really feel the need to be in control, and which others actually not? Being open-minded and collaborative is key, of course, right? I don't even need to explain this, but also in this case, it's easy to say not to do it. Like some people say this is just common sense. Correct. The problem with common sense is what? That is not so common in the implementation. Okay. It can be used individually or with teams. Again, these 8 steps are kind of flexible in their implementation. So you can use it for yourself if you want to start your own journey, and you can share it with your team as well. Let's see now what is the book flow, so to say, how these chapters are going to take place, one after the other one. So basically, chapter 1 and chapter 2 is a kind of introduction, in the sense that in chapter 1, I talk about the need to be prepared. Is it a friend or is it not a friend sometimes? It depends on the situations, right? Some situations we must be prepared. In others, maybe we don't need to do that at the point where we get stuck because we never feel prepared 100%. In chapter 2, I introduced the concept of improvisation and how it can be your ally. Let's keep in mind, improvisation, as I said before, is a process, all right? It's not a random action. The improv process follows specific improv rules, right? That often these rules are going to be used in coaching as well. So from now on, even if there might be some situation where you can say you cannot improvise, you cannot, act without preparation, and we know it's true, but I want you to start to think improvisation, quality improvisation, as a process, as a series of principles, rules, steps you're going to put in place. And it's the same when you learn coaching skills. So let's go ahead now. Let's explore what's the content of chapter 3, which is also the first step in the framework I built. The first step is going to mirror somehow the key skills I want you to start to practice, which is I trust. I trust is a big sentence, right? What's really the meaning of this? If you read the book, you will see it's all about having faith on what you want, on what you're going to accomplish, and in order to do this, of course, it's important that you take some steps also, right, that are going to help you to clarify what's really important for you. So the application of chapter 1 in reading the book, but also if you decide to take future steps after you will be finished with the book, is about choosing your values. All right, what's really important for you, finding your life purpose, creating a vision for your life, even if it's not for your entire life, at least for the next 2 or 3 years. Because of that, you're going to identify your goals, create your plan. And also, it's also key in order to practice I trust that you start or you keep going somehow in showing your vulnerability. We often believe that showing vulnerability to others is not good because we create a disadvantage for ourselves. We don't look good in the eyes of others. In reality, it's the opposite, right? When we show some kind of vulnerability here and there, we reduce the gap. We create more connection between ourselves and the others, because the others see us as human, right? Not like the perfect machine sometimes we want to appear actually like. Cultivate a growth mindset. This is key. What's a growth mindset? A growth mindset is a way of thinking that help you to see opportunities, even in situations that you don't like to embrace, even in situations where you will say no because you are afraid. It's also a mindset that allows you to see mistakes as a part of the process, as a learning step, okay? And then, of course, practice positive self-talking is going to reinforce in you the habit that is helping you to trust. You don't need to trust 100% of the times, right? This is not realistic probably, but at least you're going to build more and more this way of thinking that help you to build trust in yourself and in others as well. Okay, I spoke a lot here, right? So it's the time to pass the ball on your side. Let's have a reflection time. The question I have for you is, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is the maximum, how easy is for you in your everyday life to trust yourself and to trust others as well? You can make a distinction also, because it could be that it's more easy for you to trust people in your personal environment and a little bit less in your working environment. It could be the opposite as well. So pause for a second and ask these 2 questions. And please feel free to share your answers in chat if you want. All right, let's go ahead and let's focus on chapter 4. Chapter 4 is invite you to practice these skills. I focus on the here and now. So it's inviting you to practice the ability to manage your focus and to stay present as much as you can. Not present all the times, right? It's about building the habit to redirect your focus, to be able to be in charge and quickly decide on what you're going to focus on. Then, of course, it's a skill that you're going to practice and you're going to alternate from focusing on your vision and goals and focusing on the present moment. Because like I said before, it's not possible to stay present all the times, right? But it's about being able to balance, so to say, between these 2 aspects. This is an important leadership skill. Noticing your thoughts and feelings, then focus on the present situation. When we are facing challenges, situations that are going to make us frustrated and irritated, of course, we need to take a snapshot and honoring, acknowledging what's happening, all right? The key is not to swim on these bad feelings, not spend so much time in thinking about what's wrong, but again, having the ability to focus on what's happening in the here and in the now without, ruminating that much about what happened. And then, of course, I invite you in this chapter to practice mindfulness as well. Mindfulness is a way of meditate, so to say, but it's more in this case an exercise that I invite you to do, where you're going to practice to manage your focus, to be able to redirect your focus to what you choose in the moment. Chapter 5 is a very important one because it's focusing on the ability to listen. So in chapter 5, I invite you to practice the skill, I listen. Be open-minded, accept other people's values. This is one of the major outcomes you can get from this side of the book. Because yes, of course, I need to listen to what people are saying in the moment, right? I need to practice to manage my focus so I can really pay attention to what the other person is saying. Having said that, one of the most high way of listening to people is to be able to accept that what the other person is saying is not necessarily honoring my values. And this is going to be tremendously difficult because when I hear someone saying something that is going against what I believe, it's going to make me feel irritated, right? That's when I need to practice this skill. And again, this chapter is going to make you realize that giving attention to people is a gift, right? Especially in these days where attention span is so small, so to say, giving your full focus to another human being is really a gift you offer. The chapter is going to, again, make you practice your ability to choose your focus, manage your emotion, be guided by attention, not intention. What's the meaning of this? In certain situations, especially when you are talking with someone, if you're going to be guided by your intention, you're going to think about what you will say, your reply, how you can show you know, etc., etc. Instead, if you are allowing yourself to be guided by attention, you are able to listen more to what the person is saying because you really pay attention moment by moment to what the other human being is saying. All right, let's do another reflection time. Let's pause. The question I have for you is, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 again is the maximum, how easy is for you to redirect your focus and attention at work? What's very difficult for you? So think about your daily experience. I know it's difficult to, respond in a general way because it depends on the days, right? Depends on what's happening. But generally speaking, how much time do you spend to think about stuff that happened that made you feel irritated, stuff that happened that was wrong? How easy is for you to choose what you are focusing on? And what is the things that you notice is very hard for you to put in place? Take a few seconds, think about this, and if you want, share your answers in chat. All right, let's move on. Chapter 6. Chapter 6 is going to offer you an amazing improv rules, which we use in coaching as well. And is I say yes and. An actor on stage, when he's going to improvise, he must follow these rules. He's never going to say no to what a person is saying because they need to build the scene, right? The show must go on. So if I say no to something you just said, I block everything. Okay. Pretty much the same in coaching. In coaching, we have the coach and the coachee. What the coachee is saying is never right or wrong. Okay. So from a coach standpoint, it's just a matter to keep going. Keep going and accept what the coachee is saying and build on what he just said. So what are the implications in your everyday job, in your everyday life, because of I say yes and? You build on others' ideas, okay? You're not going to block them, especially when you are in brainstorming. We know the importance of allowing the thoughts, the ideas to pop up. Then you will have another specific moment where you can filter all the ideas and identify what's applicable and what is not. But it's important that you give people the space to just generate and share what they have in their mind. Okay. I say yes and help people to be willing to explore opportunities, right? Do not say no because I don't feel like, or because there is uncertainty, I'm not so sure. You just give yourself the permission to make even a micro step of exploration. Take small steps and work with what is available. Again, if I'm facing a problem in my job, even if I don't see the solution 100%, I need to lead my team to take small steps. So anyway, we keep going, right? We know often in business and in life as well, it's not about perfection, it's about what? It's about progression. I say yes and help you to accept other people's perspective, even if you don't agree. And this is aligned with what we said before, being open-minded, listen to what other people are saying, even if your values is not going to be honored in that moment. Initiate and nurture conversations, right? Especially with new people, especially if you are in a strategic socializing environment where you are out for dinner, for lunch with potential new clients. You need to have that kind of attitude so that you start a conversation, and very likely it's not even going to focus on work stuff, right? It's about knowing the other person, being curious, ask questions, building on what the other person just said. So I say yes and is precious from this standpoint, and is always helping also people that are a little bit more shy, less willing, so to say, to talk about stuff that apparently doesn't make any sense. All right. Let go of the need to be right. Look for a win-win situation or results. I say yes and imagine this skill apply when you have a conflict with someone. Of course, in a conflict situation, you need to negotiate a bit, right? But if you enter the conversation with a yes and attitude, I can guarantee you that this is going to help you reduce frustration, irritation. And because you do that with yourself, you help the other side to do the same as well. So let's embrace another reflection time. How a yes and attitude, in your opinion, could make a difference in your everyday life? And how about your team? What will happen in your life if you start to practice this skill? What will happen if you help people around you to do the same? Take a few moments, reflect on this, and of course, feel free to share your ideas and answers in the chat. Let's keep going. Let's see what chapter 7 has for us. The key skills I invite you to practice here is I focus on what is close to me. This skill is very important for actors on stage that are going to improvise, because by noticing what's around us, noticing all the single objects, furniture, pieces, etc., we are going to reduce the kind of anxiety, the kind of feeling agitated we might have, because we embrace the environment where we are with all our 5 senses. Okay, so by exercising these skills, you're going to pay more attention to what's happening around you. You are more present. You're going to appreciate the beauty and the nature around you as well when you are not in a office environment, so to say. You're going again to learn how to manage your focus and redirect your attention. You're going to keep in mind, you're going to remind yourself you are connected. What's the meaning of this? Well, this sentence will need more time to be explained, but often we feel a little bit, isolated, down with our level of energy, we don't feel so good, because we perceive there is a kind of separation between ourselves and the environment around us. Environment with just, the physical space where we are, but also with people. So by practicing the paying attention to what is around you, you reduce at a subconscious level this feeling of separation. And I can guarantee you that this is going to be an important impact in the way you feel. Do it, experiment it, and then you will let me know. Remember, you are not the center of the universe. Because I focus on what is close to me, I also notice that, I remind myself in reality that I'm not at the center of the universe. I know this rationally, right? But sometimes when I enter in a room full of people, I feel like, oh my gosh, they are all looking at me now. Maybe they are thinking I'm not, prepared. I'm not so good in what I'm going to do. Or, oh my gosh, I react in that way in that situation. Maybe now people are laughing at me. People have other things to do in their life. You're not so important in the end, in their eyes, because you did something wrong. Okay. So this is going to help you to remember that you are not necessarily the attention focus point of other people. And because of this, guess what? You help yourself to reduce, again, possible anxiety, agitation because of your performance. The performance, I don't mean a theatrical performance. I mean the performance you need to do every single day in your life, a job and in personal life as well. Let's practice now. Let's put immediately in place the key skill of chapter 7. What are you noticing now in your environment that you didn't notice before? Pause and start to pay attention from a 360-degree standpoint. What are you seeing? What are you perceiving? What are you smelling? What are you sensing that you didn't sense before? Spend a few seconds, observe what is around you. Of course, feel free to share your answers in chat. Let's move on. Let's go to chapter 8 now. What's chapter 8 about? It's about practicing the skill, I share what I know. How often do you find yourself in situations where you ask questions, even if you know the answer? You might say, look, Kati, yeah, I understand that, I need to share what I know, but sometimes asking a question is better, right? Because I make sure I'm going to get all the information, I'm going to collect all the data I need. It is true, but there are situations in your work and in your personal life as well where people call you, where people contact you because you are supposed to be the expert, all right? So because you don't allow yourself to fully express what you know, you project that kind of insecurity, all right, that is not going to honor you. It's not going to honor your know-how. It's not going to honor your experience. So I want you to start to practice to trust what you know, express your expertise and know-how, all right? So if you are sure you know the answer, don't ask a question. Share what you know, then you can ask a question. Then you can ask for other people's opinions, all right? Also, because you do this, you're going to share with others ideas. You're going to be part of the solution and not of the problem. How irritating it is to be in a team environment, in a team situation, and the other people are going to ask you 3,000 questions, right? Every 2 seconds. I'm exaggerating a bit, of course, now. They just ask you one question after the other one, pretending somehow you are the solution-making machine and you're going to give them all the answers. By helping yourself and people in your team to practice this, you're going to help your co-workers also to honor what they know and to share ideas. Because you share what you know, guess what? You're going to maximize certainty with people around you. Like we said at the beginning of this presentation, do you remember? People around you need to have certainty. So when you are the leader of a team, or even if you are a member of a team, the more you share what you know, the more you help reduce that kind of ambiguity that is not doing any good. If you ask a question, ask a good one. Of course, in your job, in your role, you need to ask questions, right? Even in coaching, asking good questions is an art, is a very important step. But we do our best to ask good questions, meaning we ask those questions that help the others to think in a more open way, to go outside of the box, so to say. So chapter 8 is focusing on giving you in somehow all of these opportunities, all right, so that you are going to practice more and more to share what you know. And maybe for you, it is a skill that you are already put in place. For me, for my personal experience, this improv rules was key, because I noticed so many times, and sometimes I still do it, because some kind of insecurities I still have, I have the tendency to ask a question to get reassurance, even if I know very well the answer. All right, chapter 9, I make mistakes. In chapter 9, I invite you to practice the skills not only to accept mistakes, but to make mistakes. Because again, in improvisation and in coaching as well, if you don't make mistakes, you don't have opportunities actually that are allowing you to reflect on your experience and to learn. So give yourself permission to experiment and make mistakes. Stop, reflect on what you did, your experience, and learn from it. This is what we do in a coaching session, okay? And this is what we do also when we practice improv skills. Keep in mind, like I said before, it's not about perfection, it's about progression. Keep going. Encourage others to go out of their comfort zone, because you are practice making mistakes and you invite other people to do the same in your team. You invite them to leave their comfort zone, all right? Of course, you're going to invite them to do some kind of calculated steps where there are calculated risks as well. Embrace flexibility, of course. Keep in mind, mistakes are required in order to grow and evolve. Let's go for another reflection time. How often do you allow yourself to make mistakes? And how do you typically react when other people around you make mistakes? Again, you might notice that you react in a certain way in a working environment, and you react in another way when you are dealing with people in your personal life. So pause, take a few seconds, and reflect on this. And of course, I invite you to share your answers in chat. We reached the final chapter, chapter 10, and the key skills I invite you to practice is I have fun. You might be thinking, look, my dear Katyusha, what skill is that? I have fun. Well, sometimes, fun is not happening just because it's happening, but we need to prepare the ground, right? So, first of all, the chapter is going to help you to define what is really fun for you. If I ask 10 people here, please give me the definition of fun, they might give me answers that are not exactly the same, of course. Make sure you are going to plan for activities in your life that are going to be source of fun. Often we are so into the run of our life that we don't have even time to plan for what we know, will be fun for us. So it's important that you take the time to do that as well, to build that habit. See the connections between what you do in your life and your life purpose. The more you see this bridge, the more you see this kind of connection, the more you're having fun. Allow your creativity to take place, of course, when you are giving yourself the permission to be creative or to just experiment, all right? You're having fun because you start to be in flow, you start to be in the moment. Also, by practicing the steps from 1 to 7 that I just shared, okay, you will put in place a process that is going to maximize the probability the fun is going to take place. Now, I share all of these points thinking about yourself, okay? Think about what will happen if you embrace these steps, this culture in your team. All right, so we just finished to explore what is the flow of the books, all the major skills that each chapter is going to put in place. I want you to underline now some key points. Point number 1, we often expect certainty from others, and the lack of it can create conflicts, duality, polarization, and sense of isolation. When we ask information to other people and we don't receive the answers, or we don't receive the answers we're looking for, often this is going to create some kind of conflicts or some kind of irritation. The more you are able to accept that you cannot have certainty all the times, the more you are able to build functional and positive relationships with others. Sometimes people don't give us the answers we're looking for, not because they don't want to, but because they don't have it. Create a culture of psychological safety where people can express themselves, use their strengths, and work on their areas of improvement. As a leader, as a manager, as a human being, do your best to help people around you to fully express themselves, knowing that they can do it, because even if they make mistakes, nothing horrible is going to happen, and focus on other people's strengths and help them to realize what they are good at and what they can improve. Accept you don't know and collect data instead of building stories based on your bias and stereotypes. Manage your brain desire for certainty, don't jump to conclusions. This final key point is very important because, as we said before, our brain is always looking for certainty. So even when we don't know the outcome of a situation, or we don't know exactly what a person will do, we start immediately to generate the answer in our mind. We build the story of what will happen. We act and speak like we know, all right? Because the pain we might feel by not knowing is higher than the pain we feel to just identify the answers. The problem is that because we do that, often we think based on our assumptions, filters, and stereotypes. So again, as a leader, the more you're able to practice the acceptance of I don't know, and because I don't know, or I'm not sure, I'm not going to jump to conclusions, but I'm going to collect data, I'm going to explore what's happening, the more you're honoring yourself and you're honoring what people can accomplish around you. So now that I explain you the content of the book and how each chapter is somehow is going to put you to practice a specific improv and coaching skills, and what are the outcomes you can get because you practice that skill, let's see what you can do after you read the book, actually. So essentially, you can see from these slides, you can apply the content of the book for yourself, right? For your team and your company as well. For yourself, when you intake a personal development journey. For your team, when you want to use the 8 steps to build a certain kind of culture, all right? And in your company, if you want to spread that culture from a 360-degree standpoint. So not just for your team, but for other areas as well. So for you, okay, you read the book and then somehow you want to go ahead, you can go for option 1. Option 1 is a tailor-made coaching journey where you will have with me individual coaching sessions. If you want, you can get access also to some specific courses you need on my online academy. All the courses I have are self-paced, so you study when you want, and you can always have access actually to all the video lessons. And then you have my support all along the way. You can reach me by email, by phone calls, by chat, even if we don't have an appointment. This option would be good for you if you want to start to think about your next step in your career, if you feel you are going to make an important step in your present role as well. You're going to start to manage more and more people. Your team size is going to increase. So you need to develop that kind of leadership skills that are going to be key for your future. It could be also a good option if you feel that the level of fulfillment in your life in this phase is not so high. Something need to change, all right? So it's a journey you start to intake where you're going to explore what's really important for you. Your values are not necessarily the same you had years ago. All right. Some values are going to change also because of what we are experiencing, because we change in our life. What I value 10 years ago maybe is not necessarily so important now. Okay. Also, I'm spending some time to identify a vision for your life, a purpose is going to be tremendously important because it's going to make you be willing to give your best, not only to yourself, but to those around you as well. Another option actually for you is option number 2. It's going to be a workshop, in-person workshop you're going to attend. It's only 4 hours because I do believe in the power of short-term learning situation, so to say. It's going to be open to the public, so you will be in a space with other people, other managers, executives, entrepreneurs, and it's going to be a group with maximum 10 people. I'm planning to do this on a Friday afternoon from 2 to 6 p.m. in Asolo. I usually do this in the Asolo Hotel, but I can change location as well. I'm seeing what kind of places I might use for this future season. So for more information on this, please, of course, feel free to contact me. And in this workshop, you're going to practice more and more the skills we saw in the book. But you're going to do it so that you do it with other people as well. So you will get the feedback from the training and the coach, myself, and from other participants as well. For your team or your company, okay, I suggest you to take 2 4-hour workshops that can be actually done in your company place or external location. And it's going to be tailor-made, so it's going to be shaped based on the needs of your team. It's going to be in person, and it can be done in English or in Italian. And I forget to say that even the option for you, actually, you can choose if you want to do it in English or in Italian. Even in this case, we will have small groups, so maximum 10 people, okay, 12 if your team has 12 people. And we're going to work so that we practice in person the major skills of the book. For more info, please contact me by email, info@katushabaggio.com. If you know me already, if we start to chat already via LinkedIn, you can send me a message there as well. I'll be happy to answer all of your questions. So it's now the time to think about what are your key learning points from this presentation. So pause and think about this. By attending this presentation today with Katusha Baggio, what is that I got? What is the key learning point for me? Please feel free to share it in chat as well. All right. So we reached basically the end of this presentation. I want to invite you, of course, if you didn't read my book yet, to do it. You can find it on Amazon in English and in Italian. In English is available pretty much almost in the entire world. So no matter from where you are, you should be able to find it. I want you at this point to express my gratitude and to say a big thank you for spending your time today to be here with me. It means a lot for me, actually, because this book was an outcome, so to say, of a process that took me years and years. It wasn't so easy for me to make the decision to focus and to do this book. It wasn't so easy for me to say no to other things in order to do this book. It wasn't so easy for me to share in this book some personal challenges I had, and I've been able to overcome it somehow because of the improv and coaching skills. So I want to thank you a lot for being here, and I want to wish you future life where you can really express your talents, your strengths, and you can embrace all the opportunities that life can offer you. So my final wish for you, of course, is improvise and succeed. And please remember, all the jumps you make in your life, even if it's a small one, it is already a success.